Welcome back to Wrestling Flash. In this WWE and all things wrestling video we are going to look at the best and worst of WWE SmackDown. Ronda Rousey forgets her promo lines on SmackDown. Alexa Bliss sent back to NXT. Big E in a critical condition. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, so you are the first to know when we upload a new video. While it wasn't the most eventful SmackDown in recent weeks, it certainly did enough to continue the build as the road to WrestleMania rolls on. There wasn't too much that happened from a storyline perspective, but there were a few crucial matches as well as one major title match being made official. The big talk this week, of course, is the neck injury of Big E, who suffered a freak accident in his match on SmackDown. He confirmed that his neck is broken, effectively ending his WrestleMania dream this year. We wish him a speedy recovery and urge fans not to throw insults at Ridge Holland, the man who suplexed him resulting in the injury. Freak accidents like this are unfortunately a part and parcel of the business, and it happens to almost everyone who wrestles, including Holland. With that said, let's focus on the ups and downs of an interesting episode this week. Number 3. Best. The Pat McAfee-Austin Theory feud on SmackDown. Raw superstar Austin Theory will spend the remainder of his WrestleMania season on SmackDown, as he was Vince McMahon's hand-picked opponent to face Pat McAfee. If one provocation last week wasn't enough, this week, Theory made McAfee's blood boil enough for him to launch an assault. Everything about this story is well done. From the genuine concern of Michael Cole, who kept urging him to keep cool, to Austin Theory's obvious and infuriating provocation, this is all the makings of a classic. The only thing that would make it better would be if it brings McMahon back to WrestleMania, presumably at ringside for Theory. Number 2. Worst. Butch and the Big E injury. Pete Dunne seemingly made his official main roster debut this week on SmackDown. In an unfortunate move, he has now been renamed as Butch and is aligned with Sheamus and Ridge Holland. It's an extremely stereotypical name and character and seems disrespectful to Dunne, an already established veteran of the business. It will be interesting to see where this goes, but the fact that his name is now Butch gives the same vibe as when Walter was renamed Gunther. It goes without saying that Big E's injury was the worst part of the episode this week. Number 2. Best. The road to WrestleMania for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Last week, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos, attacked Rick Boogs and Nakamura from behind as they were making their entrance. It was an evident setup for a WrestleMania match, and it was the duo of Boogs and Nakamura who confronted the champions this week. The Usos have essentially cleared out the SmackDown Tag Team division, and Rick Boogs and Nakamura are the ones who are still left. It will be interesting to see the direction it goes, and whether they can dethrone the record-breaking tag team champions at WrestleMania. Boogs had an incredible performance and victory against Jey Uso to secure his and Nakamura's spot at the show of shows. Number 1. Worst. The SmackDown Women's Championship feud. Although it isn't official, Ronda Rousey vs. Charlotte Flair is expected to headline Night 1 of WrestleMania 38. There's only one big problem. Nothing about this feud has been interesting so far. We understand that WWE can get by based on the fact that one is a megastar and the other is the most highly accomplished woman in the company's history. But that alone doesn't make for an interesting story. Every time the feud is shown on TV, it drives down the interest levels. Hopefully, the match itself will be good in quality, and that should be enough for fans to forget this below-average build-up to the women's title match. Number 1. Best. The hilarious opening segment. The face of WWE, Roman Reigns, wasn't present on the Blue brand this week. Instead, the show opened with the WWE Champion Brock Lesnar and his ex-advocate Paul Heyman standing across the ramp as they exchanged words. Lesnar seemed to realize that Heyman had no protection this week and began running after him, causing the veteran figure to flee as fast as possible. Luckily for him, he made it to his car on time as the Beast Incarnate was stopped, but the comedic timing of the segment was impeccable. Brock Lesnar continues to prove how effortlessly he can entertain fans with his relatively new character. Ronda Rousey forgets her promo lines on SmackDown. This week's SmackDown featured a promo segment between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. Several fans noted that the former UFC champion didn't look all too comfortable while delivering her lines. Dutch Mantel reviewed her promo on Sportskeeda Wrestling's Smack Talk and felt that the former Raw Women's Champion legitimately forgot what she had to say on live TV. "I think Ronda forgot hers," Dutch Mantel said. "I really think she had pauses, and she was searching in her head what she was going to say next. I think she forgot some of it." Dutch Mantel stated that Ronda Rousey lacked the proper training to cut promos for large crowds as she was heard speaking in her ordinary voice. On the contrary, Charlotte Flair was more energetic with her promo, as highlighted by Smack Talk's co-host, Rick Aquino. Mantel continued to talk about the two sides of Rousey and speculated whether the former UFC champion was even comfortable in her current role. Well, they haven't trained her at all on how to speak to a crowd, because when she started speaking in an ordinary voice. They couldn't hear her, even with a mic, stated the former WWE manager. So, if you say she has a problem with it, I agree. But I think you're seeing two Rondas. You're seeing one Ronda coming down the ramp, smiling and touching little babies and doing all that stuff. Then she gets into the ring and turns into a badass, Ronda Rousey. I think she is having a moment of transition she is not comfortable with. But people will live with that too. WWE has 3 weeks left for WrestleMania 38, and every major storyline is getting all the attention it deserves as we edge closer to the show. Ronda Rousey promised to tap out Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania in her latest promo. As expected, the Queen also had a fitting response to her challenger on the most recent SmackDown episode. Charlotte Flair ended the show with a backstage brawl with Ronda, and the reigning SmackDown Women's Champion got the upper hand tonight. But will she prevail on April 2nd when she puts the title on the line? Will Ronda Rousey become a 2-time Women's Champion? Sound off in the comments section below. Alexa Bliss sent back to NXT. Alexa Bliss made a big tease amidst her on-screen absence during the recent WWE 2K22 launch stream. It has been a while since Bliss appeared on WWE TV. She participated in the Women's Elimination Chamber match in Saudi Arabia earlier this year and came quite close to winning it. Bliss hasn't competed on WWE TV ever since. Alexa Bliss participated in the recent WWE 2K22 launch stream and Liv Morgan, Shelton Benjamin, and others. While being introduced to viewers, Bliss made a major tease about possibly eyeing the NXT Women's title. NXT. I've never won the NXT Women's Championship. You never know. You never know. Little Miss Bliss has done quite well for herself on WWE's main roster over the past 6 years. Bliss was promoted to the main roster in 2016 after a 3-year stint down in NXT. Alexa Bliss made her NXT debut on September 20, 2013. In a 6-person tag team match. She teamed up with Sasha Banks and Emma in a losing effort against Bayley, Kendall Sky and Paige. Later in her NXT run, Bliss formed a stable with Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy. The trio competed in a series of 6-person tag team matches. Bliss became one of the top female stars on the main roster. She had the following to say about Blake and Murphy in an interview with WWE's official website. Let me put this in terms so that even you can understand. I'll describe it in one word: over. Blake, Murphy and I used to be best friends. They helped me discover who I am. They taught me that Bliss was good, but bad is better. Because of the boys, I was able to really express who I am, instead of being the pixie princess I was pretending to be. Alexa Bliss has won 3 Raw and 2 SmackDown women's titles over the past 6 years. She did well as a single star in NXT but never won the brand's women's champion. Will Bliss follow in the footsteps of Charlotte Flair and Mandy Rose and move to NXT to try to capture the women's title? Sound off. Big E in a critical condition. WWE superstar Big E has shared an update on his condition after suffering a serious injury on tonight's SmackDown. He and Ridge Holland were involved in a scary ringside spot during a tag team match on SmackDown. Holland dropped the former WWE champion on his head in a major botch, after which the latter was taken to the back to get medical assistance. He has now shared an update on his injury via a video on Twitter. He can be seen wearing a neck brace in the clip. Said he immediately after E's freak accident on SmackDown. The WWE Universe took to social media to react to the spot and send their wishes to the New Day member.
I can't thank all of you beautiful people enough for all of your concern and your messages. It's very heartwarming. I can move all my digits. You see that? That's nice. That's always a good thing. Strength feels fine, but unfortunately, right now, they tell me my neck is broken. So there's that. But once again, thank you, everybody. I'm going to be all right. I'll be good. Don't worry. Go to sleep. Don't worry about old me. But for real, thank you. And I appreciate all of you, for real.
The former WWE champion is one of the most beloved men in all of pro wrestling. His peers have had nothing but praise for him in the past. Here's what Paul Heyman had to say about E last year. Big E is a credit to the lineage and the history of the WWE Championship. From Buddy Rogers to Bruno Sammartino to Pedro Morales to The Rock to Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, John Cena and Brock Lesnar. He has achieved what so few realized he could. WWE's biggest show of the year, WrestleMania, is merely weeks away. Unfortunately for E, it looks like he won't be able to compete at this year's edition of